Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, A Little Geek, A Little Chic. Today we are going to talk about the books that I read in the month of March. So grab yourself your beverage of choice and let's talk books. Let me start the video off by saying that the Cream Egg Creamer by International Delight is amazing in an iced coffee. It's so good. My best friend Carrie actually told me that both of us are into creamers. So she tasted it and I had it and I was like, it's okay. And she said, I got a text from her like a day or so later and she said, okay, you have to have it in a cold brew because that is great in a cold brew. And it is. It's really good in iced coffee. So if you're into the International Delight Cream Egg Creamer, test it out in a cold coffee. But let's get down to the brass tacks of what I read so far in the month of March. So we're going to start off with some digital books and audiobooks that are not here. And the first one, I have a little note over here about those, so I'll grab it, is Shit Actually. Now this book, I'll post pictures of them on one of these two sides when I do my edit. But Shit Actually is an anthology of feelings towards pop culture, movies, and she ranks them on a scale of Fugitives. So she thinks that The Fugitive is the best movie of all time. And so all the other movies she talks about, she tells you about them. She gives you like a synopsis or like a summary of the movie, and it's hilarious. And then she tells you how many Fugitive DVDs out of 10 it is. So 10 being the best. Fugitive, like 10 Fugitive DVDs is the epitome of the best movie, so aka The Fugitive. And then she'll tell you how many Fugitive DVDs all these movies are out of. And she does like the Santa Claus with Tim Allen and Harry Potter, Face Off, like she does all, like it's just hilarious. So pick it up if you want a good laugh. Don't take it too seriously. It's totally not what it's supposed to be. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. Did it have its flaws? Yeah, it might not have been the best written, but the audiobook was great. So I would give this one a 4 out of 5 because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't think it's for everybody though, so just be forewarned. It is nonfiction. It is just kind of like a comedy book that is easy to listen to. And I don't think I would get as much out of it if I had read the physical book. So I definitely think audiobook is the way to go with this one because her analogies and the way she delivers her jokes and her lines are great. So try that out. Next on the list of things that I listen to is Group. Now, this one is hard hitting. It is a Reese Witherspoon book club book. I read part of it and then I had to return the book to the library. So you guys saw that I got it from the library in my March TBR, and I had to return to the library, so I finished listening to it on Scribd. So if you have Scribd, it is on there, and it was really good. It is definitely trigger warnings for all kinds of things. Sorry if the angle changed. My phone has been acting a bit weird lately, and that's what I record on, so we're just gonna have to go with it. So to continue off on what I was saying about the book is that it is there's a lot of warnings there for things like self-harm, anorexia, bulimia, stuff like that. So if that is a problem for you, every trigger warning under the sun is in this book. So just definitely look into that before you read it and you pick it up. But that being said, she delivers her story very well. It is harsh. It is real. It is hard to read, which is 100% realistic when you're dealing with all kinds of disorders and people with different personalities and anxieties and social issues. And it was a very, very good read and honest and brutal and perfect in the way she delivered it. That being said, it is a memo, or memoir, sorry, memo. it's late, you guys. That being said, it is a memoir, so as you know, I do not like to rate people's personal life stories. Just saying that this is a great book about some topics that are hard to hear and read about, so take that as it is and do your research before you read it, but it's definitely a very well told story, and I think that everybody should pick it up if you are able to, because it is done very well. So let's get on to some backlisty books that I read and books that I really enjoyed. Sorry if the audio has changed for you guys. My phone has decided that it is not going to play ball tonight, but we are going to make it. So I've switched to my external mic and away from my lapel mic. Hopefully that helps the situation of my phone continuously cutting in and out of the video. Drive me bonkers. I definitely need to invest in an actual camera for this because your phone is not the best for vlogging. This is what I've learned. Every time there's an update, something goes wrong. But let's continue on with the books. So, number 1. I'm third of the way through this book. This is The Martian by Andy Weir. I almost hit myself now in the head with this twice, so let's try to not do that. This is The Martian by Andy Weir. So far we are reading about the main character who has been stranded on Mars. I am about a third of the way through this book, but there is still a few days left to go in March, and I do plan on finishing it. I am thoroughly enjoying this character. He has been stranded, and this book, full disclosure, is a little bit info dumpy, but that is because you're finding out how he is surviving. So he's writing it like a journal, so it's still more approachable than if it were like science on pages in just a chapter of how to grow stuff. So his humor is in there, his real voice is in there, and it's really nice because it's approachable. So you're learning a lot about how he's surviving and how he's rigging things to make them alternatively function the way that they were not supposed to function. And it's so far been a really good book, so I'm very excited to continue on. He is right now working towards a plan to survive for 4 years so that he can be rescued when the next Mars, Ares, I think is the mission's called, comes back. So he needs to stay alive for at least 4 years, and then hopefully they can figure out a way to get him back with the next crew that comes. So that is what I've gotten to so far. Third of the way through, do plan on finishing it, thoroughly enjoying it. Stand-up pick from the husband. I'm going to include it in this one because I will be done it either by the end of March or like the first day in April. So definitely wanted to include it here so that we can start fresh with some new books in April. But good pick by the husband. Solid pick. Let's see what he picks next once we do the April TBR. I'm interested to see what he picks now that I'm out of movies and books that he has read and or seen a TV show of. So let me grab the rest of the pile here. Whoa. Okay. Next up, we have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. You guys, I love this book, and I fell wholeheartedly for all of the characters, including the thief or the bank robber, and I did not see the twist at the end coming, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and all the characters have their unique quirks. Zara might be one of my favorite characters I have ever read about in a book because she's just so enthralling. We have an alternative lifestyle couple, a lesbian couple who are expecting their first child and looking for an apartment, and they are also just fantastic. If you are not familiar, this book centers around a bank heist gone wrong, so a bank robber who needs just some money and plans on paying it back and is robbing a bank for a very minuscule amount of money. Things go wrong. So the bank robber, you learn this in the first couple chapters, so it's not a surprise, tries to rob a cashless bank and then takes off and ends up hiding out in an apartment that's being shown for sale on New Year's Eve with a whole cast of different characters with their own unique anxieties, issues, and problems. And at some points, the bank robber's like, what did I get myself into? I was probably better off down on the street with the police. So it has been a great read, and I enjoyed it so much. And the relationships between the two main police officers in this book are just so true, and gut-wrenching for some of the stuff that they deal with on a day-to-day basis and family matters and whatnot. So very good book. As always, Frederick Bachman writes fantastic books, and his writing is poetic and approachable, and I just really liked him so much, and I will read so many more things from him. If you have not already read Every Day the Road Home Gets Longer, I'm not too sure where it is on my shelf. It's a very tiny book. Here it is. This is my favorite Frederick Bachman book of all time, and I would like to suggest you have a read of this one. It is a novella. It is a very tiny, I think it's like 70 pages, but for how small it is, it packs a big punch, and it deals with a family struggling with a family member who has Alzheimer's, dementia, and it is just gets you right in the feels. And someone who has had family members who have struggled with dementia, and it's just such a book. I can't even say enough about it. I might cry just thinking about how great it is, and it's just fantastic. So give this book a try if you have not already. Don't let its size fool you. It packs a big punch. So that's your recommendation for this video. Next up that I read, let's go back to my childhood and relive Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl is great. Is it problematic in today's standards? Yes. Was it written by today's standards? No. It was written, what? Let's see, let's check the date. I'll check the date, just to be sure. Okay, we have that it was originally published in 1964. So is it bad by 1964 standards? No. So I am going to be on the camp of love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory just as much. This is probably the 4th time I've read it, and I see the problematic parts now that I'm an adult reading it. I can see why people dislike it for PC culture reasons, but guess what? It's a 1964 book. It was written in 1964, and it is not apologetic for what it is in any way, shape, or form, and I don't think it has to be. So just when you're reading this, or if you're reading it to your kids, or if you're letting your kids read it, take that context. It is a good opportunity when you read something that is not relevant today to have that conversation and open up those avenues of conversations with your nieces, your nephews, your kids, and say, you know what, like, see how he treated that individual there? That would be not the right way to discuss that. But because this was a long time ago, they didn't know the things we know now, and we know not to use said comment. So take it like that. The story is great. It's fantastical. It's magical. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the best story of the underdog getting a win. And Charlie is, just love him to pieces. And his rag clothes and his survival mentality, but still with that want of a child just for a little bit of chocolate. He finds some money in the street, and he knows what he should do with it is take it home to his mom, but he's just gonna buy a chocolate bar and then take the rest home to his mom. So that's how he finds the gold to take it, obviously. We all know that he does. It's not a... This story's been around for a very long time. If you're not familiar with it yet, you better read it, because there's spoilers everywhere for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But great book. Was it better than the movie? The original movie, I think, did very good justice. The Johnny Depp version of this movie, not my favorite, and definitely problematic. And I think it makes it seem worse than the book actually is. So take that with a grain of salt and read the book. It's a good book. I hope to read The Great Glass Elevator, because I have not read that yet. That's a tongue twister. Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, because I have read that one once way back when I was in school, and I do not remember anything about it, so I'm going to try that one next. Then I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Oh my goodness, the main characters are just the best. So we have the main character's sister who is marrying the other main character's brother. And her sister wins everything. She enters every sweepstakes. She's won almost everything for the wedding in order to save the prices for the family and keep costs down, including the honeymoon. Now, at the wedding reception, all of our main character and Ethan, I believe is the brother's name, that they do not like each other. It's like one of those hate to love romances. If you like The Hating Game, you will love this book. It is so good. Pick it up. They end up being the only two people, because they're too busy bickering, that don't eat the seafood. She's too busy bickering to care, and Ethan has a thing that he does not like buffets, and he is anti-buffet because of all the food and health guideline stuff he knows about a buffet. So he doesn't partake, and good news for them, they're the only two that don't get food poisoning from the seafood buffet at the wedding. Cue the honeymoon part. Olive's sister has won a honeymoon that is non-refundable, and since Olive and Ethan share the last names and Olive is a twin of the main character, they look similar, they get to go on the honeymoon and pretend to be the married couple, which a whole bunch of calamity ensues, and it is fantastic. I really, really recommend this book, especially if you like romance and hate to love romances. I won't talk too much more about it because there are spoilers in here, but this book was very realistic in its hate to love, and there's some family conflict and some drama and just a bunch of things I didn't see coming, and it was a really, really good book and written very well. And I should expect this now from Christina Lauren because I really like their writing. This duo of authors is very good at writing romantic comedy, and I can't wait to get through their backlist items. So this is about, I think, the third book of theirs I read, and there are quite a number of them, so it's time for me to get going on that. I did purchase, oh, what's it called? I don't even remember now, but it's the one, the Honey Don't List. There we go. It's the one that's like kind of like Chip and Joanna Gaines-esque feeling, but not, obviously Chip and Joanna Gaines are fine, but these people are like anti, that they have started to become like a divorced couple, but they can't because they're in the spotlight. And I bought that one on Kobo for very inexpensive, so I tend to read that one probably next, or relatively soon. I have so many books that I want to read next that I have this pile of TBR that's ever growing. Then I got this book from the library. Relax, damn it. It is not what I thought it would be. It says that it is a user's guide to the age of anxiety. I thought that it would be like a discussion on current situations. You see what I don't know where that accent came from. Situations and how to address them, but it is not that at all. It is a breakdown of a day in the life of us today and all of the things that we overanalyze and get anxious about in one day's time. And it is very interesting. It does take longer to read than you think it's going to, because he basically delves into the day in chunks. So like morning and all kinds of things that you do in the morning and what science says behind it and whether it's good or bad. Like drinking milk, yes or no. Is it actually good for you? Does it do anything? There's a spot on that. Or public toilet seats. If you gotta go to the washroom at work, are you gonna get anything from it? What's the rationale between the fears of public toilet seats? And that's at 9:30 in the morning. And then if you flip to 10 a.m., do you have another coffee? Yes. Because earlier in the book, he talks to you about coffee and whether or not it is bad for your health or not, what science has said and what the studies have shown. So he breaks down pretty much everything for you. Multitasking, 5-second rule, like it's really good. But again, it was not what I expected, but that's kind of nice. It does take longer to read than you think it's going to. So I attacked it in like chunks. Like I read the morning for a couple days, and then once I got to the afternoon, it took a couple days. So I just read it slowly and enjoyed it and got a lot of information actually out of this. So nonfiction, good book. Pick this one up if you haven't and give it a read. See if you like it, especially if you're in the mood for a nonfiction that's just kind of like information and not somebody's backstory or anything. This one's good. 3 out of 5 for this one. Oh my goodness, I haven't been giving you guys the ratings. Okay. This I'm not finished yet, but it's going to be a solid book. Expect this to rate high in my books for this year that I've read. That's all I'll say about that one because it's not finished. Then we have Christina Lauren, 4. 4 out of 5. Love this book. It is a romantic comedy. Hate to love romance. So light and fluffy. Then Nostalgia Feels. Is it the best book I've ever read? No. So 3. 3 out of 5 for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. For the nostalgia purpose, 4 or a 5. But for just the general content of the book, I'm an adult. It's a middle grade book. It's still a good book. There's some good lessons to be learned and a solid 3. It does have its problems now though, so I can't give it a 4 or 5 because I would rank it up there really highly with some of today's books. And then the champion book of the Backlist read-a-thon that I did not expect to be the champion book. Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This book for me was a 5 out of 5 read. I thought the premise was crazy. Was it a thriller? Hell yeah. Did it keep me engrossed the whole time? It did sort of have similar vibes to some Riley Sager books that I have read recently, but it still held its own. And if you're unfamiliar with this book, it's about a lady who takes on a nannying position at a super smart house and that is apparently haunted, and you get some paranormal-y vibes in here, plus maybe some things you didn't know of that I learned about the main character close to the end and blew my mind because I did not see that coming. And yeah, just the ultimate whodunit thriller murder mystery, and this cover is fantastic. It's all scratched up, key, and I think it might make my top books of the year. So watch for this one again. But this book, you guys had me enthralled. I just could not put it down. I really, really liked it. I listened to some of this and it was just gripping at work and on my commutes, and it was just a really, really good book. So highly recommend this one for you if you have not read this already. I did read One by One by Ruth Ware at the later part of last year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This book has a completely different vibe, completely different feel. If you were not a fan of One by One by Ruth Ware, you will probably still like this book. If you like Riley Sager, pick this up because this is very similar feel to one of those kind of thriller mysteries, and I really, really enjoyed it. So definitely worth a read. This was a 5 out of 5 book for me this month, and it topped my list of books that I read. I think that is it. Let me just double check. It is. Sorry about the technical difficulties and maybe a little bit of the glitchiness at the beginning of the video. Not sure how complete it's going to come together and be fluid for you, but you know, technology is only as good as it can be. But thank you so much for watching. Again, comment below what you read in the month of March. What was your favorite book? Did you read any of these, or did you finish a really good book for the Backlist read-a-thon? Yeah, thank you as always for all the likes, all the subscribes. I appreciate all of your comments, and for you guys tuning in. I will see you soon with another video.